I do this with some speed, but I think, yeah, if you have to, if you try and do this slowly and thoughtfully, it wouldn't work. In all my affirmation cards, the one thing I've kind of missed off is the more the domestic animals, the ones that you have living with you. So I thought today, this one and the next one, we're going to cover that. And, you know, the cat, ooh, these eyes are going to be great to build. So it's going to be very, very loose, this one. I'm not even sure what background colour I should do it, but I'm just going to get the outline in first. And then maybe we need to very quickly decide on that background because it'll get lost otherwise. It was quite fun actually plotting this one out. It wasn't as sort of straightforward as some. So it is a lot looser, a lot freer to do. I'm kind of mixing my greys with a bit of brown. So I hope you've all had a nice week. Really done much myself, if I'm honest. It's been a just get on with work week. The domestic animals are so important, aren't they? Especially when you've been through or going through grief of losing someone. Having an animal close by can bring quite a lot of comfort. I'm saying all these things. I don't actually have a pet myself, but I do. I love my daughter's dog. Sadly, it died quite young, a couple of weeks ago, and that's been quite sad, actually, to be honest. Sadder than I imagined. So wet and wet, you just go around where you want the paint. You don't go onto the animal at this point because the paint will then stay where you've wet. If you go in for a mottled look, it's a lot easier. I don't want to completely cover the eye because you always want that underlay layer showing through. I've dried that off with the hairdryer. I'm just going to add in another layer to those eyes. I'm going to just keep building up these eyes all the way through now. I want to just get that, the pupil in really, but I don't want to go in again too dark. I'm just going to go in with the first layer. There's always a bit of character in those eyes, isn't there? You can feel it, and that's the idea really. You need to get that soul showing through. Oh, what did I do? I left that off quickly, haven't I? It's almost a browny grey, and this has now got turquoise grey in it, but that's fine. We'll use that into the fur as well because it'll just help with tones and depth and lightness. Right now, it's just getting where those dark bits are compared to the light. Really, it's just outline. Quite often when you're doing the animals, it's just a case of sectioning off areas. So you've got the different shades going on, like the white from the dark to start with, and it will be a case of keep going darker. Long hairs, good fun. It just gives a lot of freedom on brush strokes really on it, which I absolutely love in the end. Let's got one paw here, but the other little paw is just tucked under there. It's really important to keep, if you're doing anything like this, get your own animal, get your cat, do a good photo, but it is quite important to keep a real close eye on the sections that are supposed to be white, lighter, and which ones are dark at this point. Once we get so far in, it will just be easy to see. There's just a touch of pink into the area around its nose. If you try and do too much of an eye in one go, you will lose the layered effect later, and it's really that's what we're looking for, because you're going to see lots of colour in the eye. And as usual, you must let the layers go dry in between, otherwise you're just going to keep blending. Just go with a bit of this more brown colour. So that white bit is only up to there, so quite a lot of this is actually the browner colour, and some of it's darker, so I'm just... It's a real combination of the brown and the grey-black. So as you know, I always research a little bit on spiritual guides and what each animal represents in a spiritual manner. And one thing I came across with the cat was the fact that they're a guide to inner healing. Their purring actually is a healing frequency. And they can sense when you're not feeling 100%. And that purring, they can do to help you. But I've never really been a cat person, only because the cats we had as children, they weren't very nice ones actually. We had cats from farms and they were a little bit aggressive, like to prey on you. And it's not I'm against them. I'm not against any animal, I don't think. I'm trying to think now, because there's going to be something I don't like. So do you like cats? Have you got cats? Do you find them therapeutic in that manner? All these things are fascinating. I'm sure I wouldn't be the only person listening here or talking here that would like to know how that works for you yourself. Please do leave a comment. It's just a little process of going round now and just working out that I've kind of gone to those lines in a way. I don't want to be exact. If I was doing a commission for somebody, yes, I would be exact, because obviously every marking matters. But when it's something like this, you can have the freedom of it, which I thought this cat would give me because of its furriness, its long hair. It's almost a little bit blue in there. I do like it when I see a little bit of another colour in. Just adds that bit of interest. Also, if we keep a bit of blue in, it relates to the outside. So when you're painting anything with fur, anything like this, an animal, always paint in that direction of the fur. It straight away gives it character and life, especially when it's a long-haired one like this. But I think I'm just going to let this dry and get those pencil marks out. So many little tiny markings of little bits of colour. These are very blue-green eyes, which is beautiful. I say it all the time, we have to keep a close eye on our reference pictures to where we're going with these animals and these markings. And this one really is the markings. I mean, it's got lovely, lovely markings. So the cat actually is a Maine Coon. I did find out whilst I was just having 5 minutes break and my lunch. So yeah, it's a Maine Coon, long-haired cat. Quite a big cat as well, actually, to be honest. This is a kitten. It's quite a cute little thing. Just kind of indicating where those lines where its whiskers will go. Not get much pink under here. There's a little bit of pinkiness under here as well, but we'll add that in a second. I've got very watery paint at the moment on there. It's very weak because I just want light marks. I don't want anything too heavy. Sometimes if we get it too heavy on the plate, we can pick up too heavy. Keeping this, it's a little bit bluey on the grey because I just think that there's a bit of blue in there. I don't really, people see that always like I see it. Gentle little markings constantly. So the cat is the guardian, or it's thought to be the guardian of the spiritual realm. It has an ability to stare into empty spaces for a length of time, and it's believed this is to ward off spirits or energies that are invisible to us. So yeah, it's almost a bit spooky then, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if anyone has a cat. Do you have a cat? Does your cat do that? Some of these things are a little bit like, really? To me? So yeah, if you've got a cat, that happens, let me know. Most of the time now, I'm just adding a little bit of depth to those areas that we've already got the marks. A few more brush strokes of hairs. I like this brush because it can do different strokes, different. So it's not all, if it's not always identical, try and make your lines a little bit different all the time, and that way it's more realistic. So let's just sit down to start this again. My thought was just get another layer into that eye before you go too far in. And have I done that? No, I've just gone into these lovely hairs. So we can just pick out the shape again, because sometimes we just lose that outline shape. Some of this dark outline at the back is kind of the roundness of the eyeball. Some of the jutted lines inside is because of the reflection, which is just making it a tad awkward to see. I want that middle bit a bit blue because it really is a little bit of reflection there. If you go in like that, just try your brush off and just soften some of those pieces in. It doesn't want to be sort of strong lines as much as just that extra little bit of colour. So I've just really just got a bit of water on my brush to drag some of that out. Just pretty similar on this side because it's just got those brown, very fine bits around the outside of this darkness. So as I've done that, I've taken away that darkness around its eye, and I will put that back shortly. It's just that that brownness needed doing. I'm going a little bit stronger in some of these lines up here now, these hairs. There is a point of this piece of artwork where one side is going to be so much easier than the other side because I'm dragging away and that's natural, whereas the other side isn't as natural. I don't want to prevent you being able to see what I'm doing, so I'm trying to keep my brush long. I kind of almost want to go with some of that soft blue into some of those areas and just fill some of the gaps in. I had a very unpleasant experience last weekend. I was away at a show, just a little market, and at the end of the show, somebody collapsed. One of our stall holders collapsed and went into a seizure. It was the people next to me. It wasn't. Do you know sometimes you just cope with a situation, and they had it under control. We got the ambulance in. All these things, you know, that should have happened did happen, and the guy came round and he went off in the ambulance. And I calmed the lady down. I did speak to her, and I did my best to, you know, reassure her that things would be all right. And she was very shaken as she was finishing sorting her stand off so she could get off. But when I left, I hadn't realised how much it had affected me. My hands were shaking a little bit, and as I drove away. But what really followed was this sudden realisation that I go off and do shows, and no one really knows me. What would happen if I found myself in that circumstance where I fell ill at a show? And it might be something that you've thought of yourselves, that sometimes we can be left quite vulnerable on our own. But the outcome is I'm going to actually have a phone number, an emergency number on me. And I think you can put it in a mobile phone as an emergency number so that they can get it without opening the phone. But also I'm going to have a little card in my purse for emergencies. I don't like hospitals, funny enough, now. And that is all over this as well because, you know, last time I was in a hospital was when my husband was being treated badly. Have you ever gone through situations like that where it's triggered something from when your partner died? And, you know, like I had my best friend die afterwards. I never went to the funeral because I couldn't go to a funeral. I know this is going to dry lighter, which is good. And I like the fact that I'm using the blue in here, which to me, the genuinely is blue there. But actually, I do like it when you can get the white shown as a shadow area with the blues. That was my jumper. I wiped my brush on there. I know. That was not very good, was it? It is my paint jumper, by the way. Actually, if I'm honest, it's also Rob's jumper. Do you ever wear sweaters from your husband? I'm sure the other way around, if you have lost your wife, then you probably won't be doing that. I'm a bit concerned that this has gone a little bit too grey. I just want to do just a little bit of a brown wash there. Right, I feel as though I need to get the darks in that eye again. Every time I do this and I look into this eye, the pupil area, instead of being black, really does look blue. Although I'm not actually using black as usual, I'm using Payne's Grey for darker areas, mixed in with some of the navy. I need to just step back a minute and just let that dry. I always tell everyone not to overdo your eyes in one stage. So she was just going a little bit too far. Quite happy with them though. Quite a sweet little shape of the little mouth area there. Definitely need to just leave that to dry. Nice pinky colour into the ear. Maybe that's a bit strong. Because I liked the actual tone of that. I was a bit strong there, but I'm not losing it by just using it elsewhere. Just don't be afraid to spread it out. Some of that pinky brown into this ear. It's quite a pretty little colour. Just keep adding a little bit of colour into this mix as I go along, then it changes. And that's how we build the different strokes up, the different hairs up. Some of them are just quite little fine hairs around the nose. Obviously on the nose it is very short hairs. So the other thing with the cats as well, it reminds us that not everything needs to be understood or controlled. And to be honest, you know, understanding any of this sometimes is one of those very difficult subjects. It's like, do you really understand the whole grief journey, really? Because it is a journey, and it's a journey that changes along route as well. The one thing I have tried to soften it and to help really is to see what I had with Rob and be grateful for the years I actually had, rather than being sad all the time, and just turned it into, because I think by turning it into something where you're grateful and you see all the happier times and you see the pictures around the place, it does help, I think. Well, it has for me. I don't know that anyone else has done that. Anyone else is able to do that. If you like, you could just leave a comment and just say how you've coped with the journey as you've got further on. Like I'm 4 years on. And sometimes that's still really tough. There's times when things hit you really unexpectedly, because the gaps between the grief does get longer. So when it comes back, it kind of almost is like, wow, where did that come from? So yeah, how's your journey going? Are you able to see gratitude in what you had, opposed to be so overwhelmed with what you've lost? Because I think that's, you know, that does help sometimes in the end, is trying to work that bit out. There's a point a bit down here where it's a little bit more fluffy. I mean, it's a kitten really, isn't it? So you're going to get the little fluffy areas. Right, let me just work that one out. So we are here. That bit there is dark. I think this is where I was a bit unsure where I'd rubbed my lines out, whether I'd even actually made it clear as to how that bit went. That's the white area. There's white areas all around, but down this section is quite a bit darker. Still that browny grey though. Missed a little line out here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a dark bit in there as well. It's not quite the gap that I had. It's nice to get into this bit because it's a little bit more freedom. You don't have to get every hair right. Just be a little bit loose on the strokes. This is my favourite brush, mind you. Also, it's so versatile, my dagger brush. So I've got one dark bit there. This is the bit I'm getting a little confused over, but it's not exact, it doesn't matter. This other side is really quite powerful on the grey, the browny grey. The other dark bit is really this side here. A couple of those in and let it dry completely because I need to put a bit of a wash over this area as well because it's a bit too bright in the middle of there. I'm just going to lift a little bit of colour out of the eye there. Because it's been down a little while, sometimes you need to just let that water soak whilst I do it. It's almost like lifting the paint and moving it around. Didn't like that bit either. As the day's gone on, the natural light in the room has got better. It's always difficult when you're working in not completely artificial light, but a bit of both, which today has been. It's pretty miserable outside still. Just put a little post on my Facebook page before I had my lunch. And I just sort of went, do you think the birds actually complain about the weather as much as we do? Because it really has been a challenging winter. But it's not just for us, it's for them as well, isn't it? I might have overtaken out of that one, but I can't do anything until it's dry. So that bit is right, and I just want a bit of blend in. And I've just put some blue into the brown, which actually makes a good grey anyway. We can't have white in some areas, we have to have it showing the different depths of the hairs, don't we? I think that colour was nice actually. This section of hair here, I'm going to just try and section it off into how it is, because it kind of almost just section itself off. This outer edge is not actually white at all. I'm just going to just colour that, or paint that in. It really is just getting some of those darks a bit bolder now. On the tops of the ears we have the longer hairs there, and I think that really is a bit of the distinction of the Maine Coon, isn't it? If you've looked one up, or if you actually know the breed. Same on this other ear. I'm just going to try and just remove some of that harsh line of the turquoise there in the background because it's just becoming a little bit too much of a line in that spot. And just get rid of that. In some areas it will blend easier as I go wild with some pen in a minute, because I am going to go wild with a pen in a minute. Okay, right, let's go into those eyes. I'll be very careful not to lose what I already had in the background. I'll just feed a little bit of that greeny colour back in. I'm going to put the highlights in a minute, and that always just brings the eyes back up. Don't want to go dark all over, just in some areas. Quite often do the whites with a bit of acrylic because I do find it better than the gouache white. But I'm just going to just do a little bit with this, even though I'm not happy with it right now because it's not doing what I want it to do. I think I was just trying to use it neat, which wasn't working. Okay, I'm going to come back to those in a minute. What I really want to do is go in now with some pen. This is kind of where I have to refrain myself from going too crazy, because I will, you know I will. And it is the point where once I've started, I have to continue. Because it's a long-haired cat, it kind of allows for that freedom a little bit more. It's got amazing whiskers on this one as well. They're going to be fun to do. They're quite long, actually. So I'm just going to do one more thing with the cat. It's a bit of a, maybe a questionable one, but we'll read it and then we'll work it out. Actually, as I'm doing this, it's actually making me go, oh, I need to concentrate. It says in all the cat things that cats inspire us to explore new ideas, ask questions, and venture into uncharted territories, both spiritually and personally. And this is, I suppose, where I always think, you know, when sometimes I go through these affirmations, these facts and these spiritual things, that sometimes we didn't get the choice on it, did we? We were. It's not like we had the choice to decide what new ideas were going to come to us or what bits we're going to explore. We had to explore so much more than saying we have the choice. We didn't have a choice. Does that make sense? Sorry, I'm waffling as I'm trying to scribble, and you know, you don't. They don't always go together. So if it didn't make quite sense, I apologise. But that's because this pen is scribbling away and it's controlling my mouth. Sorry, that was a bit of a mad thing to say, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, this really is, it's a great one to scribble, for scribbling. Please, you know, if you're having a go of a cat, do a long-haired one. Have a go at letting yourself free with the hair. In my mind, this is where the cat goes from being all one colour bland, and it goes, whoa, let's be free, let's be wild, and it gives it the depth back. I'm not sure if there's enough depth in that area. I'll look at the end, and I might just go over some of that with a bit more paint, but we'll see how the scribbling over it goes first. I know I do this with some speed, but I think, yeah, if you have to, if you try and do this slowly and thoughtfully, it wouldn't work. Let's just try a bit of this eye now. I do have to be careful now. It's a bit wild, isn't it? Sometimes I have to tell myself to stop. I'm just going to put this little white spots on here because I know I've got to do them twice. And I've just gone over that bit in the white gouache because that white in the eye, the reflection there, isn't as bright as those lights above it. So I'm just softening that one off. So it's still there. I just didn't want it to be quite so white. Okay. Okay, just a little bit more to go around those eyes. So the word, really seriously, I kind of wanted to almost put in the gratitude bit, but it just sounds so blunt and it doesn't work. And I just think, do you know what? In the end, we know don't we, that love never truly leaves. And I think that's what I'm going to write on this one, on this lovely cat that purrs around you, that looks after you. I think that's more apt for this cat. So many fine lines in an eye. But you know, it's worth it. It's worth just persevering and just keep adding. Sometimes we take out bits, we add bits in. We'll get that white a little bit whiter in a minute as well. I just want to put a little bit more detail in these hairs around the cheeks. Is it cheeks? It's cheeks now. I'm actually glad I did it because it's a bit it's wet at the moment, but it'll dry a little bit lighter. But I think it just needed that to lift it. I was hoping to have done this with a pen because it would have been easier, but my pens are all not playing friendly. So it is the acrylic. I might end up having to redo some more than once, like that one is just not strong enough. There's quite a lot as well. When you come to do whiskers, it's just a case of just really take your time, just build them. I'm just going to go around the cat anyway now and just put in extra white ones into his fur as well. I'm not sure how well they're showing up. It is better for having them because obviously we do need those white, the white hairs, because it's a lot of white hair on it. So thinking what I said with the affirmation, and just I think just keeping it just short and not mentioning that, oh gosh, I've lost it now. Love never truly leaves us. And it doesn't, you know, our partners are always there. Do you feel that? Maybe it's something that's good to have a little think about, have a little journal about, because I do think it's important to express how we feel on those sort of things. And if you do feel they're there, it's nice to have the conversation. If you don't, it can get it out of your system if you feel as though they're not there, and they should be there, because none of us actually know. You know, people say they feel them, and some people say they don't. And I think a lot of it is your imagination, how you feel with things. I honestly do believe that as well, that we can imagine them there. I know sometimes if I'm staring out my window, the bedroom window, sometimes I can imagine that Rob is with me there, that he would come and have a nosy out, see what I was looking at, and be there. But if I'm honest, I think that's imagination. It's not him actually being there. Maybe you feel differently. Have a think about that one. Maybe it's me that's wrong. Maybe it really is him. I'd love that to be true, especially right now. I go through stages of feeling so much stronger with it all, and then I go through phases of not feeling strong at all with it, if I'm honest. Some of these are coming up a bit grey, which I'm not happy about. But I think it's just building the white up. And so I'm now in the wrong lighting because it's got towards the end of the day. I'll probably pad all this on and then I'll put it into daylight tomorrow and that'll all be too white. So the kitten. This kitten has everything in it that I absolutely enjoy with a piece of artwork. The scribbly pen work I absolutely love doing, and the eyes, building that layer is amazing. Yeah, it does have the best blue eyes. The affirmation, love never truly leaves, and it doesn't truly leave. You know, it lives here in our hearts forever. I'm quite certain of that, and I'm so grateful for all the years that I had with my lovely book, which is here on my shoulder actually. There he is. If you've really enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, because it helps me build the channel.